everyone, my name is Elsa. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. We reached 100 subscribers. I'm so happy, you can't imagine. Guys, I thank you so much. Just you can't imagine how much it means to me. Like, I'm so emotional, and I love you guys all so much. Thank you for watching my videos, thank you for commenting on my videos, just thank you for being there and just listening to me rambling on about books. I just love you and appreciate you so much. So yeah, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And as promised, today I'm going to do a special tailored recommendation video. I asked in my last video if people were interested in me recommending them mangas for them, but special recommendation, you know, like for each person I chose the perfect manga. And a lot of you guys actually answered and wanted recommendations, and you guys are just precious. Thank you so much. It just, I don't know. Thank you. And so for these people I chose the perfect manga, but obviously these mangas are, I think, perfect for them, but they also might be perfect for you. So for each manga I'm going to say what they wanted and why I recommended this manga for them. So if you think that you might be interested as well, go for this manga, obviously. I also asked people if they had read mangas before, and I think it has its importance. Like, there are some of my favorite manga series that I love. I wouldn't recommend to people that haven't read mangas before, for generally one of two reasons. The first one being that sometimes the drawings aren't as good at the beginning. Like for Fruits Basket and Hanayori Dango, the drawings at the beginning and at the ending of the series is very different. Like the style of the author just evolved throughout the series, and at the very beginning it's a bit, you know, not that great, but the story is amazing, obviously, and then, you know, the drawings just get better and better and better. But if it's your first manga and you like beautiful drawings, the very beginning isn't really that. The other reason why I won't recommend the manga for beginners is because sometimes the story doesn't really picks up until volume 3, and so you know, the first two volumes usually aren't that bad, but they're not amazing, and so if you're not that into manga already, you might be disappointed or just give up before it gets good. So I decided to, you know, indicate every time that a manga can be read for beginners with this little star. If you can see this little star, it's that you can read this manga even if you're a beginner. So that's for the rules. Let's start this. So the first one is for Literary Lion. Thank you so much, I love you. She said she loves fantasy elements, dark themes with adult characters, if possible still going on, and she wanted handsome male characters, and I have the perfect one for you. So this is Berserk. First, a little warning, I'm so sorry, the first two volumes are good, like good, but the story really picks up from volume 3, and then it gets better and better and better, and from volume 5 or 6 you're addicted. So just so you know, the first volume doesn't represent the rest of the series. It gets immensely better after a few volumes, but the beginning is still good, but you know, it doesn't reflect the rest of the series. So for the real story, I can't tell you that much without it being spoiler. You follow this guy Guts, who is extremely handsome. Which is an amazing character. Like, you love Guts so much. He's just amazing. Things happen to him in the past, awful things, and this is a revenge story, and at the same time he's trying to save some other characters. The story expands and expands and expands. The cast of characters is amazing. Like, you love the characters also so much. The villain in this series is like the worst villain you ever seen. Like, I never hated someone as much as the villain in this story, and I'm not the only one. Like, oh my god, I hate him so much. But he's a great villain. Like, I hate him, but the character in itself is incredible. So yeah, the drawings are extremely famous for being just amazing. The drawings are fabulous. The story is great. It's extremely dark. It's adult, obviously. It's adult, it's very dark, extremely violent. A lot of content warnings for this manga. Please check them out. But I could read them, so you know, if you're okay with Game of Thrones, I think you're okay with Berserk. And the story takes place in a fantasy world. Trust me on this one, you will love it. Next one is for Olivia. I love you, girl. She wanted something dark with no romance. And so for this, I chose Attack on Titan. So Attack on Titan, I talked about it before on my channel. It's just incredible. The manga is amazing, but in this case only, the anime is better. Like, please watch the anime. The anime is just incredible because the soundtrack is just to die for, and the drawings and the animation is just perfect. Like I said, the manga is great, but the animation is just next level. So watch it, please. And the story, same. I can't tell you much about it because it would be spoiler. Like, so many things happen, I couldn't get into it. But basically, the story takes place in a fantasy world, and all the characters live inside walls, like gigantic walls, and they're all living, you know, trapped inside a bit, because outside of the walls there are titans. The titans are gigantic human beings. They're not really humans, but they look like humans, but they have no brain, and they want to eat humans, and they're extremely dangerous, and they're just extremely hard to kill. So super dangerous, and so they live inside the walls to, you know, not be eaten by titans. And one day something happens that changes everything, and then the story picks up, and you follow these three main characters, and just I can't tell you anything, but let's just say that what is amazing about this series is there is no romance. Like, don't expect any romance, but you have friendships, like amazing friendships. You have the found family trope in this one, and it's so good. Like, the group they form is just amazing. You have training, you have fights, a lot of fights. The fights are amazing. Like, I'm picky with fights, but here they're just perfect, like incredible. It's extremely smart. Like, you can't imagine from what I just said, but it's not, you know, fight and no brains. No, it's extremely complex and extremely smart. Like, the plot is one of the smartest plots I've ever read in my entire life. Like, the author is a freaking genius, and I can't tell you why, but and it's a thriller because there are so many, the tension is here all the time, and the plot is completely unpredictable. I promise you, you have no idea where the story is going, and there are a lot of mysteries. Like, the main characters have so many questions, and they need to get the answers to move on, you know, and, you know, get the things they want, and you're dying to get the answers, and every time you get an answer to something, you have a thousand more questions, and it's just so good. So if you like mystery, if you like thrillers, if you like dark worlds with, you know, dark themes and great friendships and amazing fights, and just go for this one, please. There's also a political intrigue in this one, and this manga also makes you think a lot. So yeah, Olivia, I'm sure you will absolutely love this one. I would also recommend for you Death Note, but it's already on this list. I'm going to talk about it for another recommendation. Next we have Books with Ange. Thank you so much for commenting all the time, you're the best. This would be your first manga, and you wanted something with romance and a good plot twist. So I have the perfect one for you. The problem is, it's not a manga I would recommend as your first one. The manga is Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is my favorite series of all time. I will do a specific video on this series because I just have so many things to say about it that, you know, if I start, I'm going to take 1 hour to talk about it. It's a urban fantasy with amazing found family trope, and just the characters are some of the best characters I've ever read in any books. There are so many beautiful love stories in this series. The plot is incredible. It's so emotional. It makes you think so much. Look, just best manga ever. The problem is the drawing isn't so good at the beginning, and the story really picks up from volume 3, and it's a bit slow at the beginning. Like, if you finish the series as I have and reread it, you will see how perfect everything is, even from the first page. The problem is, the first time you read it, you might not see it that way. Oh yeah, and I forgot that Fruits Basket also has a lot of plot twists. Like, there are so many incredible plot twists in this series. But like I said, I don't think it's great for a first manga. So I'm going to recommend instead Lovecom. This is so good. So Lovecom, we follow these two characters, Ootani and Risa. And Risa is extremely tall and Ootani is extremely short. They are very complex because of that, and they don't think they can find love. And for something that happened, they really hate each other, and they're always arguing all the time. But one day they realize that he's interested in one of her best friends and she's interested in one of his best friends. And so they decide to, you know, have a truce and help each other get the other one's best friend. This is so cute, so romantic, so adorable. The main characters are just incredibly, they're just everything. I love them so much. It's extremely funny, like really funny. The two main characters are just to die for because I was just laughing out loud the entire series. So, and there isn't that many plot twists in this one, but it's one of the best manga series I've ever read, and you will love it. I would also recommend Dengeki Daisy, but I'm going to talk about this one for another recommendation, so you know, stay tuned. Alright, next one. For worker rights. I love you, John, you're the best. And so for you, I found the perfect one. So you wanted romance, LGBTQ plus rep, no unnecessary drama, no miscommunication, and no over-sexualization. And I present you Blue Flag. So Blue Flag, I just finished the series. It's only 8 volumes long. And it's so incredibly good. It's one of my favorite series of all time. So basically the story is about Futaba, who's in love with Toma, who is Tai's former best friend. And so Futaba wants, you know, to go out with Toma, but Toma doesn't know she exists. And so things happen, and basically Tai decides to help Futaba go out with Toma. It starts like this, but then it goes way beyond that. And everything is just perfect about this series. The drawings are just gorgeous. It's so emotional and just so beautiful and incredible. The characters are so good. Like, all the characters in this series are amazing, but the 3 main ones are just my babies. I love them so much. The relationships are so complex and so incredibly well thought of. It's just so beautiful to watch. And the friendship and the love between the 3 is just so amazing. And there is LGBTQ plus rep, as 2 of the main characters are gay, and the fact that they are gay and that they haven't come out is a very big part of the story. Everything is so perfect, like so romantic, so cute, so adorable, so touching, so moving, so just perfect. Please read it. Alright, next one we have for the Scientist Reading World. Thank you so much for watching all my videos, you're the best. You wanted something magic, and you said you were crazy about Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura, and I have the perfect one for you. And that is Gakuen Alice. So Gakuen Alice is just, it's middle grade, so you know, but as Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura, it's extremely cute. There is strong messages and dark moments at times, but most of this series is extremely fluffy, cute, romantic, and just adorable. Like, just, you know, such a feel-good manga. It's so beautiful and so great. And the story is basically about Mikan, who has a best friend. I think there are 10, when people discover that her best friend, she has what they call an Alice, which is a superpower. And basically all the people in the world that have superpowers are sent to this special school where they're supposed to live all their life. It's primary school, middle school, high school, university, and you work there afterwards. But the catch is, when you go to this school, you can't ever go out, and so you can never see your family again, and you can just never be part of the real world. And that's why the story is very complex, more than it would seem, because as I said, part of the story is extremely fluffy, cute, and wonderful, and on the other side you have, you know, extremely heavy themes and very important messages, because they are trapped in this school in a way. Like, the school is amazing, but they are trapped inside it and they are separated from their families. And so Mikan isn't allowed at this school because she doesn't have an Alice, but she goes there anyway to try and infiltrate the school. And stuff happens, and basically they discover that she has a power as well. It's just that her power is extremely hard to detect, because her power is that she can cancel other powers. Like, not indefinitely, but other powers don't work on her. And so she starts going to this magical school. If you love magical schools, please read this manga. It's just honestly the best magic school I've ever read with Harry Potter. Like, they're both honestly on the same level to me. Like, frankly, the school in Gakuen Alice is just amazing. Like, everything, the way it works, etc., it's just perfect. I love this school so much. The friendships in this series are amazing. This has one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever read about. The characters are just my babies. I love them so much. Like, there is a very intricate and complex plot that unravels throughout the story, and it's just amazing and mind-blowing and so good. Like I said, so many messages, and you know, everything is more complex than it looks, but it's still very fluffy and cute throughout most of the series, and it's just so incredibly good. Highly recommend. Next one is for Paperback Empire. Thank you so much. You wanted something, you know, either sci-fi, urban fantasy, or horror, and fast-paced, with no romance, and that would be rather dark, weird, edgy, exciting, or intense. And I have the perfect one for you, and it is Promised Neverland. The main characters of this manga series are children, but don't be fooled, this is an adult series. It's very dark and violent, not the most violent on this list, but still violent, and extremely complex and weird, you're going to see. So this is fantasy with a bit of horror. And I can't say much without spoiling the story. Let's just say that the main characters all live in an orphanage, But the orphanage is weird because they have these tattoos on their neck and they are constantly trained to be smarter, and they have these weird tests and they don't know what they are for, and they're just waiting for a family to adopt them. And one day the three main characters discovered that the world isn't what they thought it was, and the story picks up from there, and it's just incredible. It's extremely fast-paced. The plot is extremely smart and complex because the main characters are geniuses. Like, all the main characters are extremely smart because they have been trained to be extremely smart. And so everything, you know, you're like, oh my god, you're just waiting for the next trap, for the next plan, for the next everything. And it's just so smart and brilliant. The plot is amazing. The main characters are amazing. There is no romance, but there are very strong friendships in this series. So highly recommend. I think you will love it. Next for Lindsey, I think you're new. Thank you so much for subscribing. You're the best. You wanted an adult fantasy with a complicated story, with a lot of plot weaving and character dynamics, and you said you were a fan of epic fantasy. I have the perfect one for you, and this is Claymore. It's one of the best series ever. Please, people of the world, please read it. The story takes place in a fantasy world where basically you have these demons that are constantly attacking villagers, and they're extremely hard to kill because they can shapeshift into the people they have killed. And so they can basically take the place of somebody they have killed, and they can, you know, get killing people until there isn't anyone left in the village. And so the people of this world decided to create what they called Claymore. And so Claymore are women that whose DNA has been mixed with the DNA of the demons, and so they are part demon. And because they are in part demon, they can see other demons, and so they can recognize them. And they are also, you know, not entirely human, so they are way stronger than ordinary human beings. They also don't need to sleep and eat as much as humans, but because they are only partly human, they also can't feel emotions as much as humans. And because of that, although they are constantly saving them and, you know, putting their own life at risk to save the people hate them because they think they are just monsters, you know, because they are part demon. Our main character is a Claymore. Her name is Claire, and one day she comes to a village and saves it as usual, and she saves in particular a young boy whose entire family has been murdered, and so he doesn't want to stay in this village, and he's extremely grateful to Claire, and he wants to stay with her and help her in any way he can. And Claire grudgingly accepts that he comes with her, and then the entire story unravels. I can't tell you much because it would be spoiler, but let's just say that the story expands a lot. Like, you have no idea where the story is going from the beginning, but I can't tell you because it would be spoiler. But let's just say that there are a lot of characters. The friendships and the relationships in this series are just amazing. The dynamic between them is just perfect. The fantasy world, I love it so much. The magic system, you know, because it's not really a magic system, but the Claymore have this, you know, kind of power, and they can use it in a certain way, and so it's almost a magic system, and it's extremely well done. I can't tell you much, but it's really well done. And the demons as well, like the way the demon hierarchy works, etc. Can't go into detail, but it's just amazing. And the plot is just incredible. Like, I love the plot so much. It's just that I can't tell you much about it, but it's just perfect. And yeah, if you love epic fantasy with great character work and great relationships, please go for this one. The first volume is the weakest, probably because it's the first one, but it's good. It's really good, and then every volume gets better and better. Next one is for Laurence. Love you, girl. So you wanted a good romance, funny, something that would be cute, heartwarming, with cozy vibe. I have the perfect one for you, and it is Dengeki Daisy. The story is about this girl, Teru, who lost her parents when she was a little girl and was then raised by her brother, who died also when she was around 16. And so she's been basically living alone for a year, and she has no one else in her life. But before dying, her brother gave her a cell phone with the number of Daisy. Daisy is a hacker and a friend of her brother's, but she has never met him. And basically things happen between Daisy and her brother, and her brother made Daisy promise that he would always look out for his sister. And so if she has any problem at all, she can contact Daisy. She's regularly keeping him updated, you know, texting him, etc., but she has never met him and never saw his face. And one day things happen, and basically she has to work for the janitor of the school, who is only a bit older than her, and she hates him, and they're always fighting. And then things happen, and I can't tell you much about it, but the love story is just one of the best I ever read about. It's so beautiful. The main characters are just everything. They're just so amazing. The drawings are gorgeous. And it's extremely funny, like really funny and heartwarming and cozy vibe, and everything that happens is just perfect. There is a real plot. It's not only about the romance, even though the romance is a big part of the plot, but I can't tell you much about the real plot because it unravels throughout the series, but it's really good, and I highly recommend. And I would also recommend Lovecom and Gakuen Alice. I think you would love them, but I talked about them for another recommendation. Alright, next one. For Fit to be Read. You're also new, thank you so much for joining, you're the best. You wanted something adult with a new inventive concept, and I have a perfect one for you, and this is Death Note. So it's extremely famous, so maybe you've heard about it before, but it's just perfect. Basically the story is about these Shinigami. So Shinigami are death gods in Japanese mythology. They're all living in the sky, but one of them is extremely bored, and he has this death note in which he's supposed to write the name of the people he wants to kill, and the people die. But he's so bored that one day he decides to just drop his death note on Earth and see what happens. And this death note is picked up by Light, who is only 18, but he's a genius, and he's the son of someone extremely important in the police. And basically he decides to become some kind of death god on Earth and just clean the Earth from all the people who, in his opinion, shouldn't live. And you know, people understand that there is a serial killer out there, that the people aren't just dropping off for no reason, that there is someone behind it. And the police basically asks L, we don't know his real name, it's just L, you know, the letter, and he's a genius detective, and he's supposed to arrest the person behind all these killings. And this is just amazing. Like, the plot is so complex. It's so complex you have to read it twice at some points. Like, the two main characters are geniuses, and you can see that. Like, they're just so freaking brilliant, and it's just a game of mouse and cat between the two and seeing which one will catch the other one first. And it's so incredibly brilliant and amazing, and the plan they have to make and everything they think about, and it's just incredible. And there's also a strong message behind it, and it makes you think a lot about a lot of different things. And yeah, this is just an incredible series. Highly recommend it. Next one is for Steph over at Stephs Bookish World. I love you, girl. So she loves mystery and thrillers, and she wanted something hard-hitting with no romance, and that makes you think at the end. For you too, I would highly recommend Death Note. You would really love it. Same for Promised Neverland. You will really love this one as well. And I'm not going to go into detail because we don't have the time, but I also recommend Monster and All You Need Is Kill. Like, all these 4 series you would love, but the one I'm going to recommend to you is Liar Game, because it's not as well known as the 4 others. But I'm just a bit hesitant recommending this one to you because for a first manga it's not the best. So you can always try it, and it's not, if it doesn't work, you know, check the other 4. The other 4 are fine, and I'm sure you will love the other 4. But this one, I think you would really love, and nobody's going to talk to you about it, so I just figured, you know, like, the safe choices are the other ones, but this one I think you would love. So Liar Game. It's about this girl who is just a very ordinary girl. I think she's 20 or something. And one day she receives this huge pile of money with instructions from people telling her that she's basically supposed to keep this money for a week. Like, she mustn't lose 1 penny from this mallet, because if she loses it, she's indebted to them, and she will have to pay them back later, the money she won't have anymore. And there is another guy that also received a ton of money, and this guy will want her money, and so she only have 2 options. Either she protects her money, or she'll steal the money of the other guy. And then she becomes extra rich, because she will have to give back the money she was, you know, loaned, but she will be able to keep all the extra money she gets. But if she steals the money of the guy will be indebted to them. And that's just how it starts, and then it gets, oh my god. Basically, she gets tangled in this game she didn't want to participate in, with this guy she doesn't even know that are threatening her. And it's a mind game. Like, they are just playing with her and with all the other participants in this game, and she just can't get out. And she's so desperate that she asks a very famous conman that just got out of prison for help. The poor things The story is just brilliant, like so brilliant, mind-blowing. Like everything that happens is just, oh my god, so freaking genius. And the characters are great, and it makes you think a lot. The main theme is, should you trust other people or not? And how far are you willing to go to get what you want? These are the two main themes, and it's so great, and it makes you think a lot, and the ending is amazing and really makes you think even more. And there are no romance in this book. The one thing that makes me hesitate a lot is that it's a bit repetitive. The way it's done is that you have a new trial every few books. Like you have 2 volumes on one trial, and then you have a new game or new trial, and every trial is different, and every trial is just incredible to watch. But the concept can get, you know, a bit repetitive because of that. I personally didn't mind, but you might. And like I said, if you're not absolutely sure, the safe choices are the 4 other ones I mentioned that have everything you wanted. And the last one is for Manda Mae. I love you, girl, you're the best. And you are really not hard to satisfy because you wanted something fantasy, action, comedy, good friendships, and no fan service. I found you one I'm sure you will absolutely love, but as you're really not that hard to please, I would actually recommend almost every manga I talked about in this recommendation video. Especially Promised Neverland, Claymore, Dengeki, and Blue Flag. I'm sure you would love these 4. But the one I'm going to recommend to you is My Hero Academia. The anime is amazing, so if you want to check that out, you can, but I prefer the manga. So basically the story, it takes place in our world but in the future, and basically humans evolved and we all have superpowers now. Like maybe 3% of the population don't have any powers, but everyone else has a superpower, and because of that, superhero became a job. And you can go to school to become a superhero, and you have superhero agencies, etc. And the main character, I love him so much, his name is Deku, and he wants to become a superhero more than anything else in the world. The problem is he doesn't have a power. And one day things happen, and basically the most famous superhero in the entire world, who is just my baby, is just amazing, but this superhero character meets Deku, and he was thinking about retiring, and he thinks that Deku would be just perfect to follow, you know, in his tracks, and he just happens to have the one superpower that you can transmit to other people. And so he decides to just give his superpowers to Deku and train him so he can go to the most famous high school for superheroes in Japan, where he himself is a teacher. And the story goes from there, and it's just amazing. The characters in this series are just incredibly good. I love them all so much. Like, just incredible character work, incredible friendships as well, because like the story is basically taking place in a magical school. The school is just amazing, and the class, like all the characters in his class are just the best. I love them all so much. Like that, the 40 of them are just my babies. They're just so great, and the friendship between all of them is just the world. The fights are incredibly good. It changes a lot from a lot of different mangas, because yes, there are a lot of fights, but a lot of different type of fights, because they are in school. So you know, they have to fight, but for exam they have to fight against that teacher to prove you know, they can do it. They have to fight in real combat in real life because they have internship, they have tournaments, they have everything. It's so good. So like I said, fantasy, action, it's also extremely emotional at times and very funny at others, and it's just a perfect combination of everything perfect in this world. Like it's just an amazing manga on all accounts, and just so good. So highly recommend. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. This video was really long. I'm so sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you discovered new mangas you wanted to read. And for you guys that have asked a recommendation from me, I really hope I got that right and you will love the mangas I recommended to you. Tell me in the comments, please, if you know, not even now, but you know, in a few months or a year or something, you've read them and loved them or hated them. I will take the punch. Please tell me, I'd love to know. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for, you know, watching my videos and subscribing, and you're just the best. Thank you so much.